Oh boy, I just cannot wait to start talking about guys with no shirts and fighting to the death.
Yakuza 0 is awesome. Sorry, but there's just no other way I could have started off this video. I mean, at least in my eyes, it's a very good game. I played the game about 4 years ago during winter, on Christmas actually. Funnily enough, as Yakuza 0 does take place on Christmas, but I'm getting ahead of myself here. I got a new PC that Christmas and a Steam gift card from my brother. And I went on the Steam workshop and discovered Yakuza 0, and after that, the rest is history. Initially, I actually only played halfway through chapter 1 at start as I thought it was a little complicated for my liking. But as I did play again, after 2 weeks, oh baby, thank goodness I did. Thank goodness indeed, because after I played this game through its entirety, oh man, I became a fan of the entire Yakuza series, and now I just can't stop thinking about it. And I'm here today to tell you why.
This game brought me more joy than my first girlfriend ever could, so that's gotta count for something, right? Anyways, let's get into this game already.
Yakuza 0 starts out in the second half of the 1980s, an era of extreme high property prices in real estate during that time, which was known as the bubble era of Japan, a time period which saw massive gains in monies that lasted during the latter end of the Showa era and the end of the early Heisei era of Japan. We see our protagonist Kazuma Kiryu, who is a part of the Majima family, the Yakuza family that we are currently part of and we will see throughout the entire story. Kiryu is currently beating the absolute mercy out of some random guy, as he is a debt collector for the said family.
Yeah, I tend to do the same thing when my friends owe me $5. Just so effective.
Kiryu walks through the city called Kamurocho, a mainstay in the entire Yakuza franchise and a place I'm sure we'll only see pop up a couple times and not much more after that. Kiryu then beats up on some kids, right? And then he meets up with the best bro and best character and best brother in all of gaming, Nishikiyama, or just Nishiki for short. He takes us out to go karaoke and to go eat and just kinda talk a little bit. Although in that time it revealed that the guy Kiryu was wailing on was accidentally killed. Or was it? This then leads to believe that Kiryu actually killed the guy, so we get the call from the Dojima family HQ. Some talking occurs and Kiryu goes to solve the problem any way he can. And along the way he gets into an argument with Kashiwagi-san, the right hand of the Kazama family. Kazama-san being the father figure for both Kiryu and Nishiki, who's currently serving time in prison. As Kiryu fights his way through trying to find out who murdered the guy, he decides it's best to leave the family so that the Dojima family doesn't get into any trouble with the police or any law enforcement. Kiryu is kicked out, inside the headquarters I may add, as one of the lieutenants, Kuze, orders us to be killed. What ensues is what made me fall in love with the entire franchise. What takes place is a huge, what's called long battle, of Kiryu fighting his way through the Dojima family HQ, fighting Yakuza and taking shit from no one. Just bam, bam, and bam! He fights his way to Lieutenant Kuze as then they brawl it out with the epic soundtrack and quick time event after quick time event happens, making you feel like an absolute badass. You win and find out it was all for nothing, as blame falls on the Kazama-san. You step into the raid, not sure what to do to save your father, as a mysterious man steps out, reaching out his hand saying he can help you.
And that was just chapter 1. As you can see, it's a pretty meaty game already. It's like a can of Pringles. Once you pop, you just can't stop. And in this case, you really can't stop. I mean, seriously, with all the amount of content in this game, you're gonna see why you just can't stop. Seriously, I haven't been able to stop for 6 years. Please, someone help me.
A lot of the game includes you walking around. There's no car in this game, so it's walking and running, but it fits this sort of slower, slow-burning, slow-paced game. Although here, on the streets, you can get into fights and discover side stories. The fights have you all face random enemies on the street with your 3 different fighting styles, which you unlock during the first 6 chapters of the game actually, such as Kiryu's Brawler, Rush, and Beast style, a standard fast and heavy hitting style if you will. These fighting styles also allow you to pull off what are called heat action, devastating and brutal powerful moves or finishing moves. Some of them honestly make you wince. Dear God, the bowling ball. Besides the fights, there are also side stories. Fun little, side stories that has Kiryu interact with citizens of Kamurocho, doing things such as helping a kid buy a game, or even something like helping film a music video for a Michael Jackson ripoff where you fight zombies.
Yeah, I know, the whiplash from that sentence, right? Yeah, I'm still feeling it after all these years. It's been 6 years. I should really go see that doctor.
I haven't even gotten into the best part yet. The other playable character. That being the one and only, the Chad himself, Goro Majima. Majima is a man who runs a huge cabaret club, essentially places in Japan where a man can go and unwind after a hard day of work, talking to ladies and all that, and drinking his worries away. A whorehouse, but way less lewd. Anyways, Majima is tasked with raising 10 billion yen in this club called the Grand, and then a whole nother place called Sotenbori, a whole new map for you to explore. Anyways, he needs 10 billion yen so he can get back to the Yakuza family he was a part of previously, the Shimano family. He's being shadowed and watched by a guy named Sagawa, a sworn brother of the head of the Shimano family. Sagawa offers Majima a deal to off someone named Makoto Makimura to get back into the family. Unfortunately, as Majima goes to kill Makoto, through a series of events, he finds out that it's a blind woman and can't bring himself to end her here and there. He doesn't, and he ends up protecting and slowly falling in love with her. It's a tragic tale of love and revenge with Majima that really makes his character shine, and only such a background that actually fits into a crazy person like him. Although I'm kinda getting ahead of myself here.
It's enough to make a grown man cry. Seriously, it hurts. It's still hurting, as a matter of fact. I think I might be having a stroke.
With both characters' goals set in place, Kiryu to find a way to protect his father, and Majima with keeping Makoto safe, the next logical thing to do is actually to do those things, right? I have the dominatrix. There's a lot of things you can do on each city that really brings them to life, and in each you have very similar and different activities as well, whether it be side stories or even something as simple as fishing. The fishing is actually really fun. You can reel in a bunch of different fish commonly found in a small riverbank, such as a shark.
I can only imagine the look on the mom whose kid just told them they reeled in a great white. They must be so proud.
You also have bowling, where you can win a chicken, which you get from bowling a turkey, in a side story. You see, now that's fun, and his name is Nugget. Alternatively, you can also play baseball. The baseball minigame in the batting cages is actually pretty fun. Hitting home runs is actually really satisfying, if not stressful when you need to hit 10 in a row in order to, pass a side story or something like that. Oh yeah, and you can also have phone sex. Although that's not a bad thing. I remember howling at laughter as Kiryu became a director, or when Majima was spying on his own hostess. A lot of these sub-stories are comedic, but they end up being pretty wholesome in the end, and actually teach you a little lesson too. This type of gameplay actually really balances out, and it's something I think is essential to every video game. That nice balance of story that's really well written and that you're supposed to take seriously, with a very fun and wacky open world that's full of surprises, including some bigger sub-stories that can be separate games on their own. Bouncing off my last statement, there are two big side missions that you can do with its own story and plot, in Chapter 5 and 7 respectively. You get access to two separate special minigames, the first being the Real Estate Royale, where Kiryu has to buy business in order to defeat the 5 billionaires and take back the streets of Kamurocho. The other is the Cabaret Club Czar, Majima's side mission to transform a cabaret club, called Club Sunshine, to the best club in the city, in order to beat the 5-star Sotenbori and become number 1. Both side games include their own stories and challenges to face. Play some pretty fun objectives. Kiryu's is a little less fun as you're just buying property and seeing the rank in, but occasionally you will have to go and fight thugs who are causing problems in the area. Majima's is more hands-on as you have to actively play and check things. It's basically one of those dine and dash games where you have to manage your girls and make sure your customers are happy and all that jazz. Out of the two, I think Majima's is funner in my opinion. I remember not liking it back then, but as more time went on, I kinda grew to like it. Give me some music, a shake, and this, and it's good time. It's good time.
If you want true vibes doing it, try getting high or like just doing anything with edibles, and trust me, it'll be a good time. I guarantee you. I mean, me personally, I have nothing. Like I don't know anything about that, but I know for a fact some of you out there do. You goddamn sinners.
At the end of these two modes, you actually unlock a new fighting style for both Kiryu and Majima. They're both tremendously fun to play with. Kiryu's kind of just copies his later on fighting styles you get in the other games, but Majima's on the other hand, oh my god, Majima's so good. Majima's legend style is really damn good. It's fast, it hits hard, you can slash everyone all around. You feel like a demon because of the freaking aura that comes off of him. But honestly, both Kiryu and Majima's legend styles are really fun. Basically, just play with it for a while and you'll get what I mean, especially when you go up against bosses or enemies. It's such a good time. Finally, let's go over the rest of the story. I won't get too into it as I want you all to experience it for yourself, but I'm just going to go over my favorite story highlights and my favorite moments and memories that I had with the game. Just be careful, there might be some minor spoilers here, so just to let you know. And yeah, let's do this. Firstly, let's go over the music. I remember back in senior year of high school, I was downloading each and every single one of these songs from that soundtrack, because they were just that good, they were just that catchy.
It's almost as good as the banda music that plays at every cousin's, daughter's, sister's 4th wedding. You guys know the one.
The first song I was obsessed with was Pledge of the Demon, aka Kuze's theme, which was top of my charts, and actually kind of got my friend into Yakuza because of it, because he was really into heavy metal music, and like all that crazy death metal stuff, which this song sounds like. Some of my favorite highlights for me were always the long battles. Whether it was Kiryu on the street fighting against the Dojima family, going through waves and trying to get through the crowds, or if it was Majima fighting his way through the Nikyo Courtesan, another Yakuza family where their members would wear these really creepy baby doll masks and like Hanya masks, which I think is kind of cool actually. Or if it was Kiryu, Oda, and Tachibana just being smack dab in the middle of the Tojo clan headquarters. Like, oh my god, man, that moment just screamed badass to me. Like, come on. Another good memory for me with this game were the boss battles. Oh yeah, the boss battles were really awesome. Especially the Kuze ones. You fight Kuze on multiple occasions throughout the entire game, and it feels like with each and every one, it becomes more awesome than the last, because they all have like that awesome build up and the blaring of the Punch of the Demon theme, which we've established was my favorite theme at the time. My favorite was definitely the second encounter of him in the sewers. The build up, the speech at the end, and that clash with the music syncing up. Oh yeah, baby, it's so good. Another badass moment is when something happens and Majima's love and rage builds up and he just snaps. He takes off his shirt to reveal his snake and Hanya tattoos, and oh man, you bet the Yakuza were regretting ever pissing off that dog. Let me just say that the clashes are so badass. You get a lot of them throughout the game whenever you're about to fight a boss or a group of enemies, and just every single time it comes up, it really does build the hype, and it makes you just feel super energized and energetic. You can tell I really like them a lot, but can you really blame me though? The fun of getting to play these moments, it's like you're imagining that you're Kiryu or you're Majima, and you're the one getting into these epic fights and brawls, and it puts this image in your head of you being the star, you being the one who's able to save the day, being the one who's able to fight through all these crowds of Yakuza, and just being able to save everyone. I know it sounds very narcissistic, but man, I really don't care. To someone like me, it makes me feel special, and I'm glad that a game like this can make me feel that way. I know it sounds kind of silly, but to some people, it really does make their day, and that's why I love it so much. This is exemplified greatly in the finale, where I won't spoil anything from it, but the amount of hype and emotion you feel through the final chapter, it makes it all the more satisfying, and it shows that you got this far and that it was time to finish it.
So yeah, Yakuza 0. That was the review. I definitely recommend the game if you haven't tried it out already. And without saying too much, I just want to say going back and playing it really took me back to the 80s, back when this game took place. I mean, I was never in the 80s. Don't get me wrong. I'm not that old. Just I hope not. But regardless, Yakuza 0 is still a perfect balance of silly and serious. It's such an amazing game to play through, and I really hope that after today, you guys can experience it as well. It stands the test of time against everything else, except maybe smallpox. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go take off my shirt and rub oil all over my body for the true Yakuza experience. I mean, how else do you think their bodies get so shiny in those games?